Welcome to Creative Bites, your go-to podcast for an inspiring mix of creativity, entrepreneurship, communications, and much more. I'm your host, Ivona Fruda, and in each episode, we will bring you compelling stories from the movers and shakers across various industries. We will discover how ideas evolve, how communication shapes our world, and how the entrepreneurial spirit drives progress. Whether you are looking for inspiration, innovation, or just a good story, you will find it here. So, tune in, join the conversation, and explore the many facets of creativity with us. The following conversation is with Dr. Indranill Basu Ray, a distinguished cardiologist based in Memphis, Tennessee. Dr. Basu Ray is not only an expert in his field, but also a pioneer in integrating yoga and meditation into cardiovascular treatment, serving as the founder and chairman of the American Academy of Yoga and Meditation. With extensive experience in both the US and India, he has held prominent positions at Harvard Medical School and All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. Basu Ray, you just mentioned right now a beautiful book. I would love to ask you to share a little bit more about the book that is also the Bible for your work.
So this is the world's first book on the science of yoga and how a physician or a yoga therapist who's trained in clinical yoga can use for cardiovascular disease. As you know, cardiovascular disease is the largest killer in the world. It kills, among the total number of people killed in 1 year on this planet, almost 35 to 40% die because of cardiovascular disease, and many of them extremely at a young age. And so it's the largest killer in the world. It kills twice the number of people than the second largest killer, which is cancer. So this book is the world's first book, which not only explain how you prevent cardiovascular disease, but also if you already have cardiovascular disease, how you can prevent further heart attack or further stroke and stuff like that. This is important because modern medicine has developed a lot, but modern medicine is restricted in terms of what we call chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, where stress plays a big role. Unfortunately, we still now do not have a medicine for stress. And the only medicine for stress that is known, that is proved by multiple trials, is practicing yoga, which includes basic exercises called asanas, breathing techniques called pranayama, and the most important is concentration called pratyahara, mindfulness called dharana, and the ultimate culmination of these two, that is meditation or dhyana. So that has not only changes the brain architecture, it makes your brain actually grow, and there is scientific proof of this. It also changes the neurochemistry of your brain. So from being an anxious brain, a stressful brain, a depressed brain, you change to a very positive neurochemistry inside your brain. So this is the world's first book. Every contention made here has got scientific proof, so that there is no question. Most of these scientific proof are written by people outside India, as who have talked about and researched yoga as scientists, as physician, so that there is no bias. Like for example, there may be people who are practicing yoga and they may be biased. They may feel yoga is the greatest thing on earth, which may not be scientifically true. So these are written by actual physician and scientists, based on actual research.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. That's a really great example of how can science also explain different holistic approaches for medicine, right, and for healing in general. I'm very curious to learn how actually did you end up doing that? How did you end up pursuing your career in cardiology and then combining different modalities from the holistic approach, from the alternative medicine and the conventional medicine together?
So when I was a kid, I started meditation since I was pretty young, around 6 years of age, because my father used to sit down to meditate. So at that age, I started meditating. And then when I was I was in school at that time, I read a book by Fritjof Capra called The Tao of Physics, which compared Hindu philosophy with the latest in science. I didn't understand much of the book because I was too young, but what I understood is a lot of things that has been there in Hindu philosophy thousands of years back is now getting proved by modern science. For example, the concept of multiverse has been there for forever. I mean, it's there in Rig Veda, which is supposed to be at least, by very conservative estimate, at least 5,000 years old. Some people put it even older than that. So there they talk about multiverses. They talk about the origin of universe and stuff like that. So, for example, I'll give you a small example. The Generally, as you know, after Einstein came out with this theory, it was believed that the universe connects with each other, and the fastest mode of connection is light, because light is the fastest. But when quantum physics came, the father of quantum physics, Niels Bohr, said no, the quantum physics is different, and there is an inherent mechanism by which universe connects with each other. Of course, Einstein did not believe in it. He said this sort of spooky action cannot be true. But Einstein was proved wrong. Actually, last year they gave the Nobel Prize for that, for three scientists who proved Einstein wrong. In Hindu philosophy, it clearly says that the whole universe is a connected whole, and one part of the universe can connect with it with the other part of the universe. And today, in scientific terms, we call that quantum entanglement. What, in simple terms, what that mean? If you have two electrons, which are, as you know, electrons which are subatomic particle, they remain in pairs. So if one electron is on this part of the universe and you take the other electron to the other end of the universe, if you give this electron a small spin, the other electron will automatically undergo small spin on the other side. And this is instantaneous. You do not need anything. Even light will take millions of years to go from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe. So certain concepts in the philosophy is now science is slowly discovering it. So you might ask, how did that happen? I mean, they did not have that scientific research. How did they reach that stage? So I don't have an answer for that, but my theory is this, that a lot of people can achieve an understanding of the universe when they meditate. I'll give you a couple of first scientific example, and then I'll give you the meditative example. Say, for example, AC current that we have all over the world now. So how was AC current discovered? AC current was discovered because Tesla had a dream about AC current, and that's how he discovered AC current. He didn't work in any lab to discover AC current. How did Einstein come out with E is equal to mc square? He didn't work in a lab. He came to Princeton much later. He was just a clerk in a postal office in Australia when he came out. So these are people whose thoughts came and then they discovered big things. Similarly, we have somebody like, say, Madame Curie, who worked in a lab and she got two Nobel Prizes. So I'm not saying, so there are two extremes. People who work in a lab come out with a new hypothesis and prove it, and people who just think about it, they dream about it, and an understanding comes, they do it. So, in the core of the philosophy, it says that when you go into deep meditation, you sync yourself to the entire universe. So, the universe is part of you. Universe, you're just a child of this universe. So, universe cannot keep any of its secret away from you. But the problem is that our brain is busy with, well, can I get a bigger car? Can I have a bigger house? I've made few millions this year. Can I make a billion next year? So our brain is filled with these thoughts. So we have no time to communicate with the mother, which is the universe.
Mhm.
So if
I
you want to hear good music, you have to tune into that radio station, which gives you that particular type of music. Just opening up the radio will not give you that music. If you're looking for a very particular type of music, suppose you want to hear American jazz, so you have to tune in to, say, New Orleans. But similarly, the universe has ways by which you can tune in, and meditation is the way by which you tune into the universe. So not only do you get the understanding, and you also get the basic understanding of the universe, and then you come out with what looks very surprising, and later they are proved to be true. So when I read this book and I found there is a lot of correlation between physics, chemistry, atomic physics, quantum physics, and the core philosophy, which is called Hindu philosophy or Ye philosophy. And the funny part is 90%, 99% of so-called Hindu as a religion in India don't even know that philosophy, because in most of common Hindu household, they'll have multiple gods and goddesses and other things. In core of Hindu philosophy, there is no God, because the universe is infinite. You cannot have an element called God, the master of the entire universe. But that part of Hindu philosophy is called Advaita Vedanta. That is so esoteric. Who are the followers of that Hinduism? Maybe 0.00001% of Indians and some of the top scientists in the world. If you go to, say, Geneva, if you go to the world's largest cyclotron where they discovered the Higgs boson in your country now, Switzerland, in front of the is a picture of Nataraj. Why would they keep the picture of a Hindu god in front of the world's largest temple of science? The reason is that Hindu god is not a Hindu god. The Nataraj signifies something that is very core to the concept of Advaita philosophy. So in Advaita philosophy, there is no god, there is no goddess, there is nothing, the whole universe. So it's a very democratic religion, unlike a lot of Abrahamic religion, which says that you are born sinner, so you have to pray God. Advaita Vedanta doesn't say that. The question is, you did not decide that you're going to be born, did you? Did you decide
That's true.
who your parents are? So how can you be a sinner? You cannot be a sinner. So these are the concepts. So that's why some of the topmost scientists in the world believe in Advaita Vedanta. So coming back to your question, when I saw that correlation, I decided that I am going to work on bringing biology, modern biology and philosophy together. And that's where I started my work. And that was my dream. So I had to learn meditation. So I went to some of the best gurus in India. I traveled all over India trying to find them. And um, there was a lot of unsuccessful attempts many places because I just didn't like those gurus. I wanted a guru who was steeped in science but left everything to become a monk. Because only then, see, if you are completely uneducated and you become a monk, then you think everything that a monk does is good and science is all nonsense. That cannot be true. And the core of Hindu philosophy actually says that very clearly. Unlike many religion where science and religion is opposite to each other, in Hindu philosophy, the first stage is science. Then comes philosophy. Then comes religion. So technically, there is no religion. Actually, in core Hinduism, there is no religion. I mean, whether you go to the temple, you go to the church, you go to the mosque, doesn't matter. The reason is the God is within you. You don't have to go to an external place to get God. You can sit
Mhm.
in your room and tune your brain to the universe. And what temple or what church or what mosque can be better than you directly tuning to the Creator? And you're basically the part of the creation also. So anyway, that's how I started. So once I got meditation, is one of the most powerful lineages. I do not know they are spread in Europe, but I think after Swami Vivekananda, who introduced Hindu concepts, the Eastern philosophy to America, the person who did it most after him is called Paramahansa Yogananda. So my Paramahansa Yogananda belongs to a powerful line of lineage called Kriya Yoga. And I'll just give you a short example of the power. Steve Jobs, who you know, died as the founder of Apple. Steve Jobs said in his lecture that there's only one book he had in his iPad, and that book is Autobiography of a Yogi, written by Paramahansa Yogananda. And Paramahansa, and not only that, when he died, everybody, including the then president of America, who visited his funeral, were given a copy of this book, Autobiography of Yogi. So I belong to that lineage. My guru is actually the brother disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. And to prove that a yogi controls his body both in life and in death, his body was kept without any preservatives in America for almost 28 days, and it showed no signs of rotting. I mean, we see dead bodies all the time because I'm a doctor. A body will rot in 2 hours or 28 days. So that's the power of yoga, because when you can control yourself through meditation, you actually control the universe. That's
Hmm.
what the core of the philosophy is. So that's how I started. My guru wanted me to learn meditation so that I could bring the science and the practice of philosophy together.
Could you
And that's
please explain to me and to our listener what actually the word guru means? Because I think there are so many misunderstandings and misconceptions around guru or gurus in general.
yeah. So guru is somebody who teaches you, who's your mentor. The English word for guru is a mentor.
Mhm.
So the problem, so in India in general, gurus are people who are spiritual heads. But India, there is a dichotomy. You have a lot of people who are sort of spiritual heads, but neither they have a formal education, neither they have achieved spiritual greatness. But they're out in the market making money and fooling people, just like anywhere else. Everybody wants money. But India also has those very, very powerful gurus who don't come to the open. They don't have a market. They don't sell their wares. For example, our yoga clan. Actually, you can see the picture of my guru behind me with the white beard. I can bring you and show you his picture. This is when he was 86. Uh, this is when he was 86. So, can you see the picture of a man? Can you see the glow at 86? Because every cell in their body glows. Um, and now we have some scientific proof that meditation actually decreases aging. He doesn't look like 86. So that glow comes from inside. You can use the world's latest cosmetic, the costliest cosmetic from L'Oreal Paris or whatever you want to name it. You guys know more than me. None of them will get you more beautiful, because beauty comes from inside. If inside
Mhm.
you're not beautiful, it's not going to come out outside also. You can make the skin, try to make the skin as beautiful as possible. It'll never glow unless it comes from inside. That's what yoga is all about.
Could you
So
also
guru
just,
is a mentor.
just one question also on that, because I heard recently that there is also something like the guru from the dark side, that not every guru is the light one, not everyone, not every
Correct,
guru brings the light to the world.
correct. So the guru, unfortunately, has been used in the US or in the Western country for different meaning. So technically, guru means a mentor. So if I mentor you on how to hack a computer, I become a dark side guru.
Mhm.
So because guru is a mentor, that's it. But in India, guru is also so somebody who teaches me how to hack a computer. I cannot technically call him guru in the Indian sense. He will still be a guru in the Western sense, because in Western sense, the guru word just means mentor. But in Indian sense, guru is somebody who's a spiritual mentor, not any mentor. Like even if I teach you, say, how to use Microsoft or how to code for Chat GPT, in the West, you can technically still call me a guru, but in the Indian sense, you cannot call me a guru, because guru in Indian sense is strictly one who's the spiritual mentor.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the clarification. I'm curious to learn about some examples of people that you could help with your approach. If you could give us example of some healing processes or healing
Yeah,
in
so
general.
yoga gives you superpowers, and the powers appear non-scientific, but they're actually not non-scientific.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you example. So when 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was written, that time there was no submarine, so it was a science fiction. The same author wrote Travel to Moon. There was no moon, there was no travel to moon, so it was a science fiction. Today there are maybe around at least a couple of hundred, if not 1,000 submarines sitting on the ocean floor. So it's no more science fiction, it is science, it is reality. So
Correct.
yoga speaks of things which still is not a reality, but technically we know it can be a reality. For example, when the gurus talk about the whole universe connected to each other, it was thought this is a philosophical statement because this has got no scientific basis. Now through quantum physics, we know yes, even an electron in my body If it's paired with the electron within the electron in the sun will know what my body electron is doing. I may not know as a person, but each of these particles will know each other and what they are doing and what their position is. So that is unbelievable. That is like almost science fiction, almost metaphysics. So that's what has happened. So see, the question, the core concept of Advaita Vedanta or yoga philosophy is when you practice meditation, you increase the energy dynamics of the body. So based on the philosophy, you have three bodies. One is the physical body, and this physical body is driven by an energy body, which we have till now not discovered. So when I cut open somebody's chest or go inside the chest to do a procedure, I don't see that body because it doesn't exist in this plane. It exists in a higher vibration. But we have some proof that something like that does exist. How do we know? For example, our brain is a powerful computer. So the energy required to do what a brain does, our brain cannot create that amount of energy. So where is that energy coming from? So some scientists believe, it is not proved. If you can prove it, you'll get a Nobel Prize, that quantum physics comes into play there. So similarly, forget our brain. Let's talk about something that is proved. Take a leaf. The grass that you are stamping left, right, and center when walking through a lawn or something, or by the side of the road, that grass has got a technology that we as human till now do not have. So let me try to explain to you in very simple terms. So take my hand. See, this is a leaf. Can you see my hand? This
Yes.
is a leaf. This is the factory in that leaf which produces chlorophyll. You know, the green pigment to
Yes.
that takes sunlight and transform it to food for the plant. Now, when light rays are falling everywhere, correct? So light rays are not falling here; they are falling here. So how does the plant carry this light wave from here to here? It has to, right? Because the factory is here. The Tesla factory is in Berlin. So if you have to bring parts from all over the world to Berlin to make the Tesla car, those things will not fly there. So photon hitting here has to be going here. Unfortunately, the plant doesn't have energy to carry each of this from this place to all this place. So how does the plant make photosynthesis? It uses a quantum parameter which says that which is called superposition. What does superposition means? So if I have an electron somewhere, I can only say that the electron is somewhere in this area. Until I see it, I'm an observer. The electron is not in one single position. It could be
Mhm.
here, 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 here. So it uses the signs of superposition. So the photon which is here is also here. Imagine the signs. We have even not reached even 1/10 of that. That's why in Kardashian scale, which is the scale for civilization in this universe, and core of Hindu philosophy believes there are multiple alien races in the universe. We are just 0.75. We are not even one. And up to 7 is supposed to be the Kardashian scale of higher and higher scientific achievement of different alien races. So the plant, which is the lowest, we consider the lowest of all organisms on Earth, has a technology that we haven't even know how it happened. So it uses superposition, which means the photon that is technically striking here doesn't have to travel from whatever, from Berlin to Geneva physically. So though it is striking in Berlin, because it is using a superposition, it is also striking in Geneva, it is also striking in New York, it's also striking in Washington. So it doesn't have to physically carry, there's no physical carriage anywhere in the universe.
Mhm.
Using that technology, it creates photosynthesis. So if a plant can do that, imagine what our brain can do. But obviously, this is still very little. We don't still know the science. I mean, it'll take. I mean, we are still in infancy as far as the work of the brain goes. But these are some of the. So yoga says that when you increase your energy, when this energy body gets increased, you can do a lot of things. For example, I cannot go through the wall. An electron can go through the wall. A neutrino goes through the entire Earth. It hits the North Pole, comes out of the South Pole. Why? The amount of energy it has, it can easily go through all the layers of the Earth from the North Pole to South Pole. Similarly, electron has the energy to go through this wall. Why can't I? Because I just don't have the energy. If I hit the wall, I'll just break my skull. I'm not going to go through it. But if I can increase my energy to that extent, then I'll be able to transpose myself to the other side also.
Mhm.
So that's what yoga is all about. Yoga increases your power. And at the same time, when you practice meditation and breathing techniques, that's what it does. It takes you to a different paradigm of existence where you're more powerful. And why are you more powerful? Once you connect with the universe, you can decide your own future. Yeah, if I want something bad to happen to Iona, I cannot do that. Because when you're connecting with the universe cannot because see, Iona and Indranill are not two persons. We might have a separate skull, we might have a separate body, but that is only on this material earth.
Mhm.
But in the quantum physics level, we are all part of the same vibration.
Yeah.
So I cannot do anything that is negative in the universe. But if I want to do positive, if somebody is sick, I want to give prayers. He may be sick in a hospital in Berlin. I may be sitting in Memphis, Tennessee, in the US, 5,000 miles apart. I can still give him prayers. Why? Because the vibration is not restricted by physical land. You don't have to cross 5,000 miles to go there.
Yeah, but
It's
basically there's no time and space between the vibrations, right? They happen at the
exactly.
same time. Fantastic. You mentioned that. Also, you mentioned something very interesting about Einstein, right? By the way, Einstein lived in Bern in Switzerland, where I live right now. And you mentioned that some of his scientific discoveries were then overruled or also proved wrong. Do you feel that everything we are working on and all of the new scientific approaches you are working on can also overrule the whole scientific world,
It will.
especially in medicine?
It's already overruling because the question is material world. So Einstein's one of the biggest concept was that the whole universe, material and mass and energy is basically same. But what he could not understand, or what he understood, but he did not. He was little what is called hesitant to understand that even in the material world, the communication between the parts of the universe is always the whole universe behaves like one single entity. It doesn't behave as a multiple entity. So using a third party, whether it is sound, like I am communicating with you through sound, it's a third party. I am communicating, so one star can communicate with another star, or you're seeing the star because the mode of communication is because the star is sending you its light and you can see that star. And the star which does not send light, like a black hole, you're not going to see that black hole. You're going to see it indirectly, but not directly because no light is coming to you. But inherently, when you're part of the universe, you do not need a third medium to connect. But what Einstein's greatest discovery was this, that the whole universe is one, and energy and mass are not two different things. But then by that time, this concept came, quantum physics already started, and now we know that whole universe matter is just a solidified part of the vibration. When the vibration is at a very lower level, it becomes matter. When it is at a higher level, it is not matter. That's the only difference. And it is interesting to say that Swami Vivekananda, one of the greatest philosophers ever born, who actually introduced the Hindu philosophy to the America and the rest of the world, um, almost 8 years before Einstein came out in 1906 with his E is equal to mc square, said that he sat in deep meditation in the Himalayas, which you know is the highest mountain ranges, and there you have many such very powerful monks who don't come out. They remain close there. And he said that it looks to me the whole world universe is made up of energy. How do we know that? We know that because later on, when he went to America, he met with Tesla, and he told Tesla that. Tesla wrote that in his archives that, and Tesla actually told him that I also believe the same, and I'm going to prove it. But unfortunately, Tesla could not prove it. And Einstein came with this concept in 1906. But did Einstein become famous after that? No, he did not. Why? Because this was not provable. 4 years after Einstein, after that, Arthur Eddington, a British astronomer, during a solar eclipse in Australia, he saw and he showed for the first time that light was actually bending because of gravity. So, two stars, their position when you see the sun, and when you do not see the sun because of solar eclipse, their position changes because of the sun. So he showed that. That was an indirect proof that Einstein was right. And that made Einstein into a celebrity. So similarly, in yoga philosophy, lot of things, it might take maybe 100 years, 200 years to prove. But basic concept is that you can, like for example, Jesus walked over the water. Is that a miracle? No, it's not a miracle. Why? When you practice meditation, some people believe he spent 12 years somewhere outside. Nobody knows what history he had in those 12 years. Some people say he came to Tibet, he came to Kashmir, God knows, we don't know. The history is not written. But when you develop these powers, you can walk over. There are multiple stories of that, even in Indian philosophy, about walking over the river or walking over water. The question is, we can still float over the water. Why don't you drown immediately? You don't drown immediately because your body is heavier than water, but your skull is not. So your skull has a so your skull tends to float until you take and you start whatever swimming until and then you can keep yourself afloat for some time until you get filled yourself with water by drinking the water where you're drowning, and then your whole body becomes more heavy and then you drown into the water. But if you can make your body much lighter by these practices, you learn those techniques where you can walk over water. So this miracle is for the common man, but for the scientist, it is just increased amount of energy where you can make your body lighter. Actually, the Bible for yoga is called Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which has been written maybe around 5,000 years old. Though Patanjali was a monk who wrote this book, yoga is not 5,000 years old. Yoga is time immemorial. Some people say aliens brought it to the earth. Some people say it came from 11,000 years back. But it was physically written down by Patanjali around 5 to 6,000 years back. There are verses which tells you how you can develop these powers, where you make yourself big, you make it small, you can levitate, you can walk over waters. So it's just about your energy. When you have higher energy, what happens is the physical body becomes lighter because you are less deep matter. The lesser matter you are, more you can do things, whether it's walking over the wall or even, okay, I want it to rain now, or I want I want to heal somebody. And there's been multiple places where people have healed up because all that you did, you sat down and meditated and and healed that person. And you think there is some voodoo? No, there are books in cancer patients with over 200 cases where people with cancer, even today, it is a mode of treatment called visualization.
Yes.
What we do is we tell the patient to visualize his or her state before they had cancer. So, isn't that voodoo? This, I mean, 10, 20 years, 50 years back, people would say this is all voodoo. No, this is part of cancer therapy. Why? When you reset your brain to a time before you were sick with cancer, your brain starts behaving like that. Your immunities are increased to kill that cancer. And there are millions of cancer cure. There are books on that. People have cured cancer or decreased their symptoms, decreased the bad effects of cancer chemotherapy, like severe fatigue, falling of hair, wrinkling of skin, just by practicing mindfulness, meditation, and prayer.
Just coming back to what you mentioned about Jesus and his ability to walk on water. So, which means basically that he was so in tune with the universe that he could manifest anything, right? And this
That is
could
correct.
apply, yeah, this can apply to absolutely anything that we are doing these days as well.
That is what Advaita Vedanta says. Who is Jesus? Every one of us will become Jesus. That's what
Mhm.
Advaita Vedanta says. Because in this universe, you cannot have two different things, a master and the slave. That doesn't exist.
Yes,
The
I just
whole
like,
universe is one. So
yes.
everybody will be Jesus, or everybody will be whatever God you have in Islam. Whatever in Hindu, there are multiple gods. There's God called Shiva, whose actually model is there outside your the cyclotron in the Geneva Lake, the world's biggest cyclotron. Nataraj's model is there. That's Shiva. So Shiva is supposed to be a very handsome guy with multiple snakes around his neck. But so you cannot have that because there are multiple universes. Every time, by the time I started talking to you, maybe another universe got created. And that's there in Hindu philosophy, in Advaita Vedanta. So all these, so why we thinking of this god, goddesses in Hindu philosophy? The reason is for a common man to think of the entire universe, leave alone multiverses, is impossible. But when you give him a picture, I give you a picture of Jesus, it's easier for you to sit down and meditate. I ask you, okay, Iona, why don't you start meditating on the multiverse? You'll be looking at my face, who's this crazy guy? What is he talking about?
Quite the opposite. I quite understand the concept that you just mentioned with me. So thank you also for this clarification. I just wonder. I just really like right now when you put your fingers like this, the Zoom AI kind of pop out some colorful things. And the next question to you would be, how do you believe that AI, all of the new technologies that are coming up right now, can it actually help you to make this movement, more visible, even faster in general?
In general, it will make your life easier, but it can also be a distraction depending on how you see any technology. You can be the master of the technology, or you can be a slave. Now, I'll give you an example why. So, I am talking to you, a part of my brain is still meditating. So, and I'll give you an example also. A friend of mine who's a physician. So, once I met him in the lobby, I mean, I was coming out of the hospital and he was going in. So, he just shouts, saw me and said, "Hey, Dr. Basu Ray, how are you?" I said, "I'm pretty good. How are you?" He said, "Pretty good. And listen, I'm exactly following what you're doing, what you said. And I do yoga every day from 4 to 5 p.m. I go to the yoga studio and I go to do yoga from 4 to 5 p.m." You know what I told him? I said, "That's great. That'll keep you healthy. But unfortunately, you saved yourself for that 1 hour. But the rest 23 hours, you're still open to having heart attack, stroke." He said, "Why?" The question is that body brain releases different chemicals that causes heart attack, stroke, and all these things. And if you're in stress 23 hours because other than 1 hour where you're practicing yoga. Moreover, yoga in America, and I don't know for Europe, I think it's same in Europe, is only doing physical exercise, which is just 5% of yoga. Doing physical exercise is good, but that will only bring out cardiovascular resiliency, but it will not help you to change your brain. It will not help you to prevent heart attack. It will not help you with hypertension, not help you with diabetes, because that has nothing to do your physical body alone. That has to do both your body and the brain and the mind.
So
You
the
have to
question
change
is,
the brain.
yes, we have to have to change the brain. So how can we meditate 24 hours a day as you are doing right now as well? You're
That
meditating
is a
all the time.
practice. As you
Mm.
practice, you can do everything. See, we have 1600 cc of brain. Orangutan has got 800, 600 to 800 cc of brain. There is a story, actually, there's a study which showed um, orangutan also can cure themselves. And if you look at that study, what they did is there was an orangutan in Indonesia where this scientist group was studying, and he had a slash here in front of his face below his eye. So what he used to do, he used to pick up a plant and put it there. So this scientists were surprised. Why the hell is he doing that? he is doing that, and in a couple of weeks, that place was healed. Then they took out the plant, and I found the plant had a lot of antibodies and curing property. So if with 600 cc's of brain you can do that, we have 1600 cc of a brain, an average human being, leave alone Einstein. I do not know what cc his brain was, but 1600 cc of brain, what are you and I doing? So nature or God or whatever you want, universe, I don't care, whatever you call it, has given us extreme power. But every day we are crying, oh God, you made me so miserable. Oh God, you made me so poor. Oh God, you have given me nothing. No, it's we ourselves who's pushing ourselves. God doesn't have an entire Sunday to spend to give you all the bad things in the universe. It's no time to do that.
God
You're
has
part
better
of that.
things to do, right?
Correct. He has many more things to do. Plus, you are part of that universe. And there's a very powerful statement. One of the Trinity, so-called God in Hinduism, is Shiva, Narayan, and Brahma. So Narayan is one of the creators of the universe in common parlance. So you know what one Swami Vivekananda said? So Vivekananda said that if even he wants, if you want something, and if you let every blood cells of your body know, even if Narayan, the creator of the universe, wants it, he cannot change it. That is the power of the universe.
That puts
Because
also, yes, that
you're
also
so
puts the responsibility towards us. We are responsible individually for our destiny in a way, right?
absolutely 200%. And if your destiny is something that you want and you want it powerful enough, you're not flimsy, you want every cell in your body to know this is what I want to achieve, even the biggest God in the universe cannot stop you. That
That's a
is
great
your,
news.
that is very powerful, and that is the truth. So coming back to your state, so we are what we do. So meditating 24/7, 365 is just a practice.
Mhm.
Yeah, 1600, and there I'm not the only one. There are millions of people in this world who can do that. They can do it more powerfully than me. But I've been doing it for 30 years. I can do it. And that's some of the things we are going to teach. How to do walking meditation. In our workshop, we are going to do how to do walking meditation, how to meditate, how to use breathing technique to increase your energy body so that you can manifest things that you want yourself. How can you change your brain called neuroplasticity so that you're not always stressed out, you're not anxious? All these things are what we train in our meditation workshops. So meditation workshop is an attempt to bring to the common man the power they have in themselves. I'm not going to give anything to them that is the hard. They're like just like any computer. There's a hardware and there's a software. So you can get the world's best computer, but if you do not have a Microsoft Office, you cannot open up a document. It could be a $10 computer, it could be a $10,000 computer, doesn't matter. You still cannot open Microsoft Word unless you have the software. Similarly, everybody has the hardware. You're that $1 million computer that took 6 million years to make. We were in this universe for 6 million years. So that's a powerful time. In less than 100 years, we have a Tesla car that can drive by itself. Less than 100 years, we have discovered a car was invented, and we can have a car that can drive by itself. So imagine the machine that was discovered, invented 6 million years ago. So we are extremely powerful. Now, if you take the self-driving driving Tesla, drive it like a broken Toyota or a broken Land Rover, you're fine. Who's stopping you? But if you read the manual, you'll drive Tesla like a Tesla. So similarly, you've got a Tesla given by the nature, by God, or whatever we want to call it, by Jesus Christ, by Shiva, by Allah, I don't care what you call it, and you want to drive it like a broken Toyota, God bless you, go ahead. Go on crying every day, oh, God is so bad, kill me, and did all those bad things to me. Or take care of your future and do it the way you like. That's exactly what we teach in this year. How you can get that software, what breathing technique you use so you can go into deep meditation. What you do to go into deep meditation so that you can communicate with your subconsciousness. How you can tune your subconsciousness to do what you want, what you expect, what your career goals are, how you can change your brain so that it doesn't release dangerous chemicals so you get a heart attack or die young. 300,000 people die every year in United States of America. I think the same number will be in Europe by what is known as sudden cardiac death. Young people, otherwise very healthy, die suddenly. You can prevent all this because everything is what the interaction between your mind and the body. So if you know how to control those things, you're the master of the universe. That's what we that's what we teach in our weekend workshops. There's the basic workshop where you learn all these things. And as you said, how do I meditate 24/7? You can also learn to meditate 24. It's just a question of practice once you know the technique.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And to wrap it up, could you please share with us what are your hopes for the future?
Well, future is going to be very hopeful because I think with mass of people taking up practices like yoga, um, um, the world is going to be a better world. Because when people practice yoga, mindfulness, meditation, it does not only help you, it helps also the community. There actually was a study in Washington, is there in Google, when a large number of people came to a place and they meditated, all the bad things like murder, rape, and everything at that area came down. You can Google this, you'll find it in Google. So the yoga has got effect, which we still don't know how. There's a saying that if a butterfly flaps its wing in Brazil, you might have a storm in United States of America. So that's the power of nature. That's the power of yoga. So when you practice yoga, large area other than it'll benefit your family. And when large number of people gather and practice yoga, it'll benefit the entire earth. So all this wars going on, religious fight, narrow mentality, narrow mindedness, all these will come down as we get more and more people sort of converted, not religion wise, but converted to the science of being peaceful, loving nature and giving back to the universe that has given us so much, and also connecting with the universe to have a more productive and a happy life.
So basically, the main goal for us should be to silence our brains, our minds, and open up for the universal knowledge and wisdom,
That's
and
correct.
create out of this very strong foundation.
That's correct. But I won't use the word silence because silence means that I'm suppressing things. So the problem with the brain is that if I normal brain, if I do EEG, you'll find bizarre wave pattern called the beta waves. But so brain is like a paradoxical organ. When it is non-functioning, it has got bizarre wave patterns. But when you're concentrating, it has got slow waves called alpha waves. So brain is almost like a pond. Think of a pond, a small pond which has got clear water, or think of a bucket, a large bucket with clear water. So a brain is like that. Now you go on throwing stones, so you will not be able to see the bottom of the pond because you are throwing stones and it's full of ripples. So that's what the brain is. So I don't like to use the word silent. Silent means that you're stopping the natural functioning of the brain. You're not. What you're doing is you're taking the brain to its natural functioning. Its natural functioning in is that state where it does not have all those ripples. A pond is not supposed to have ripples because you're throwing stones into that pond so that you can't see its bottom. Neither can you see the fishes in the deeper part of the pond. But once you stop throwing stone, it is plain clear water and you can see everything. Because that's the part of the brain. When you make your brain like that, that brain becomes super powerful brain. That is what is Jesus's brain. That is what is Shiva's brain. That is the brain which can make you things which technically people call as miracle. But it's really not miracle. It's you're performing at a higher energy level than your normal physical matter driven body, which you and I generally have in this world.
Thank you for sharing. Wonderful. Thank you for joining me today. I'm very excited to release this Creative Bites podcast with you. And thank you for all of the wisdom that you are sharing with the world these days. Very needed, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really thankful.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Creative Bites. It's been a pleasure sharing these stories and insights with you. Remember, creativity is all around us, ready to be discovered, nurtured, and celebrated. I'm Ivona, and until next time, keep creating, keep exploring, and keep inspiring. Thanks for listening, and goodbye for now.